Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the first of our presidential fun fact series. Obviously, today's episode is, of course, even the man that's right behind me, George Washington, who was president from 1789 to 1797. So, even though I actually have, let's see here, I actually have 6 facts about him, we're going to go ahead and read them all right now. Some of them you might already know, others you might not have heard of before. So let's begin. First off, he was the only president that was ever unanimously elected, meaning that every single vote in the Electoral College went off to him. I believe his first term he had 69 electoral votes, and for his second term he had 132 electoral votes. But either way, he had them all twice. So he's the only president with a unanimous vote. Second, he never served his presidency in Washington, D.C., which was named after him. That was the capital, obviously, after he was dead. But a lot of people don't know that he actually picked the location of it and surveyed the land and, basically built it himself, but didn't see the completion of it, because he died in 1799. The capital of the country was originally New York City for his first year of his first term, and then it was moved to Philadelphia. And on a side note, he was inaugurated in New York City at Federal Hall in New York City. And to this day, there's a statue of Washington outside of Federal Hall in New York City. How many times did I say New York City in that sentence? I have no idea. Anyways, fact number 3. He was 6 feet 2 inches tall, which was very tall in the 1700s. Yeah. Basically, with him being over 6 foot back then is like saying today people being over 7 feet tall. Because the average height back then was like not even like 5'6". But now the average height is like 5'8" or something like that. I don't know. I'm 5'9", so that means I would almost, like, if Washington was still alive, looking straight at him, I think I would be looking at his mouth. But to look up into his eyes, I would have to, move my head up. Next fact, number 4. The story of Washington of chopping down his father's cherry tree, also known as the I Cannot Tell a Lie story, is fiction and probably never happened. Yep. A lot of people think that he actually chopped down his dad's cherry tree when he was when he was 7 with a hatchet. But yeah. He never did it. Supposedly. I don't think he actually did. But that it's a myth, and they say he never actually did it. Number 5. He didn't have wooden teeth, but wore dentures made from ivory. Meaning from bones and other teeth, and yeah, he actually had pretty good dental hygiene back in his day. Even brushed his teeth. And when he was inaugurated, he only had one real tooth, which I think, and a lot of people like to think that he called it Old Chomper. Number 6. Here's one that you guys probably didn't even know about. He freed all of his slaves in his will when he died. That's right. When he died in 1799, his will specifically said, I want my slaves set free, and he got it happen. He had it happen. So, thanks, Washington. And number 6, or what is this, 7? Hold on a second. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Yeah, 7. This is probably another one that you don't know of, and it's our last one for today. King George III of Great Britain, which is, the king that they just got rid of after the war for independence. But anyways, he called George Washington the greatest man in the world for not taking the opportunity of becoming, quote unquote, king of the United States, resigned his commission, and returned to the farmer life. Basically saying that right after King George heard the news that Washington resigned his commission and returned back to, the average citizen life, he called him the greatest man alive, or the greatest man in the world, at the time at least. And, yeah. Literally, Washington could have been a king. He literally could have been a king. Literally, everyone, like members of Congress, his own generals, a lot of people really wanted him to be king. But just like another famous general that was in that same spot over, 3,000 years ago? Julius Caesar. You guys remember that. Yeah, I guess also the Shakespeare play Caesar, or Julius Caesar. Beware the Ides of March, or the 5th of March. Which, on the side note, Ides means 15. Basically, Julius Caesar was in a war. Actually, yeah, he was in a war, conquered the Roman territory known as Gaul, which is actually modern-day France, and literally used that fame and became a king / emperor / dictator. He used that fame to be supreme dictator, ruler of Rome. He ended the Roman Republic and created the Roman Empire with him as dictator, pretty much. And we all know what happens. The Ides of March, he was stabbed to death by his own members of the Senate, led by, of course, Brutus, with the famous line, "Eat toot, Brute," which means, "You too, Brutus." But he only did that for honor and for, the country, or the empire. Washington was in the same situation, but he was always humble in the position that he was in. Just like when he took office as president, when people called him His Excellency, Washington wanted to be called Mr. President. Which, there was a lot of debate over what the actual title of president should be. But, we got President of the United States and Mr. President. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you, General Washington. And stay tuned because John Adams is coming up next. Stay cool, stay tuned. What you thinking there, Washington? Hope it's not a cherry tree.